Marcus Webb had 3 minutes to fix the elevator or lose the job. He grabbed his toolbox from the cart, shoved the maintenance door open with his shoulder, and sprinted toward the service shaft on the 42nd floor of Pinnacle Tower, the most expensive real estate in the city, and the last place a man like him should be working past midnight. His boots squeaked against the polished marble floors as the flickering overhead lights cast long shadows across the empty corridor. The power outage had started 17 minutes ago. His supervisor had already called twice. "Dad," the voice crackled through his phone earpiece. "I'm here, sweetheart," Marcus said, sliding to his knees beside the elevator panel and pulling out his wrench. "Is your inhaler nearby?" "Yeah," a pause. "Can you come home soon?" 2 hours, maybe less. He wedged the panel open. "Chloe, listen to me. Inhaler bag, don't forget." He heard her small exhale on the other end of the line, that particular kind of exhale that 8-year-olds deploy specifically to make their fathers feel guilty. It worked every time. Marcus clenched his jaw, focused on the wiring, and tried not to think about the fact that this was his third job this week: maintenance at Pinnacle Tower, early morning deliveries for a warehouse across town, and weekend tutoring for 2 kids whose parents paid him in late transfers and broken promises. None of it was enough. The hospital bills kept arriving anyway. He'd been fighting that battle since the night Clara died, 4 years ago. Car accident on a Tuesday evening. Chloe had been in the backseat, buckled in perfectly, physically unhurt, and she hadn't spoken for 6 weeks afterward. The asthma had started the following year, the doctors said likely stress-induced. Marcus had heard that explanation and quietly added it to the list of things he carried alone. The elevator panel sparked. He yanked his hand back, waited, then carefully reconnected the failing circuit. The lights on the 42nd floor hummed back to life. Marcus exhaled. He began packing up his tools when he noticed it, a door at the far end of the corridor, slightly ajar, light spilling from inside. He hadn't noticed it before. According to the floor plan his supervisor gave him, that section of the executive wing was supposed to be completely empty tonight. The gala downstairs had ended over an hour ago. He hesitated. Maintenance protocol required him to check all rooms on a floor following a power interruption. He picked up his toolbox and walked toward the door. He knocked once. No answer. He pushed it open. The room was a private executive suite. A dressing room, he realized immediately, lined with garment racks and a long mirror and soft lighting that he had apparently just restored. And standing with her back to him, pulling on a blouse, was a woman he recognized instantly from every business magazine, news segment, and billboard in the city. Elaine Voss, CEO of Voss Dynamics, Billionaire, 41 years old, reportedly the most feared executive in the country. For exactly 1 second, neither of them moved. Then she spun around. "Get out," the words came out like a blade. "Right now, get out of this room." Marcus had already stepped back into the corridor, face turned away, door closing in front of him. His heart hammered. He pressed his back against the wall and waited for what he already knew was coming. 3 minutes later, 2 security guards were escorting him toward the elevator. One of them had his toolbox. The other had his phone, which they'd confiscated after Elaine demanded it, presumably to check for photos. Marcus didn't argue. He understood what this looked like. He also understood that arguing with security guards in Pinnacle Tower at midnight while wearing a borrowed maintenance uniform was not a fight he was going to win. They were almost at the lobby when he heard Chloe's voice before he even saw her. Not on the phone, in person. She was sitting on the lobby bench where he'd told her to wait. He'd brought her tonight because the neighbor who usually watched her had canceled last minute, and she was hunched forward, both hands gripping the edge of the seat, making that sound. That particular strained, fighting sound that Marcus had learned to distinguish from normal breathing with the precision of someone whose life depended on it. "Chloe," he broke free of the security escort without thinking, dropping to his knees in front of her. Hey, look at me. Where's your inhaler?" "Bag," she wheezed. "Forgot, left it." "It's okay." He was already unzipping her backpack. "I've got the spare, hold on." He found it in the front pocket, shook it twice, pressed it into her hands. "Slow, nice and slow, like we practiced." Chloe pressed the inhaler to her lips. Her small chest rose and fell in the careful, deliberate rhythm he'd spent months teaching her. Marcus held her hand. He didn't look up. He didn't look at the security guard standing 3 feet behind him, or the few late-night lobby staff watching from the reception desk, or the woman who had stepped out of the elevator and was now standing completely still near the entrance, watching everything. He didn't know Elaine Voss was still in the building. He didn't know she had come downstairs after he left, unsettled in a way she hadn't expected to be, intending only to retrieve something from her car. He didn't know she stood there for 4 full minutes, watching a man with nothing talk his daughter through an asthma attack on the floor of her building's lobby, with the quiet, total focus of someone who had decided that nothing in the world mattered more than this one moment. Chloe's breathing leveled out. She leaned her head against Marcus's chest. "Better?" he asked. "Better," she whispered. He held her there for a long time. If you've been watching this story and haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button right now, because this story is about to go somewhere you won't want to miss. The next morning, Marcus was certain he had been blacklisted from every maintenance agency in the city. He dropped Chloe at school, sat in his car for a while, and thought about the bills on his kitchen table and the feeling of running out of options. His phone rang at 11 a.m. from a number he didn't recognize. "Mr. Webb." The voice was direct, clipped, unmistakably hers. "This is Elaine Voss. I'd like you to come to my office this afternoon." Marcus stared at the windshield. "I want you to know I didn't take any photos. I didn't see." "I know," she said simply. "That's why I'm calling, 2 o'clock." He almost didn't go. He sat outside the building for 20 minutes telling himself this was a trap, or some kind of formal reprimand, or worse, a legal summons dressed up as a meeting. Then he went inside anyway, because what was the alternative? Elaine Voss's office occupied the entire top floor of Pinnacle Tower. She was standing at the window when he walked in, looking at the city below with the expression of someone who owned a significant portion of it. "Sit down, Mr. Webb." He sat. "I've been running Voss Dynamics for 14 years, she said, still facing the window. "I've had 312 employees attempt to leverage private information about me for personal gain. You're the first one who didn't." Marcus said nothing. She turned. "I need someone to lead a community development initiative I've been trying to launch for 2 years. A real one, not a PR campaign. Schools, local infrastructure, small business mentorship. The project keeps failing because the people I assign to it are more interested in how it looks than what it does." She paused. "I watched you with your daughter last night. I'm offering you the position." "I'm a maintenance worker." "You have a degree in civil planning that you haven't used in 5 years, she said. "I looked you up." Marcus stared at her. "You investigated me." "I investigate everyone." She sat down across from him. "The question is whether you want the job." "Why would you trust me with something like that?" Elaine looked at him for a long moment. "Because in 14 years, you're the first person who walked away from something they could have used." She set a folder on the desk between them. "That's rare, Mr. Webb. In my world, it's almost extinct." He read through the offer. The salary made him read it twice. He looked up. "I'm not interested in charity." "It's not charity," she said. "It's a job, a real one, with accountability and deliverables and consequences if you fail." Something shifted in her expression. "I don't do charity." He took the job. What followed was 3 months of the most difficult, rewarding work Marcus had ever done. The initiative, which he named the Webb Voss Community Bridge Project, a name Elaine immediately shortened to just the Bridge, tackled infrastructure gaps in 4 underserved districts. Marcus worked 18-hour days. He argued with Elaine constantly. She pushed back harder. He told her when her decisions were disconnected from the communities she was trying to help. She told him when his idealism was going to sink the project's budget. Slowly, something that wasn't supposed to happen happened. They started talking about things that weren't the project. He told her about Clara. She told him about her brother, estranged for 11 years over a business dispute that had grown into something neither of them knew how to undo anymore. He told her the thing he'd never told anyone, that sometimes he was afraid Chloe was growing up watching him struggle so hard that she was learning to expect life to be painful. Elaine was quiet for a long time after that. The following week, she reached out to her brother for the first time in 11 years. She didn't tell Marcus she'd done it. He found out when she arrived at a project meeting looking lighter than he'd ever seen her. But while their relationship deepened, other forces were moving. Two board members at Voss Dynamics had been quietly redirecting project funds. Not just the bridge, 3 other community initiatives, all of them converted into ghost accounts. Millions of dollars vanishing into consultancy fees paid to shell companies they controlled. They had counted on no one looking closely enough. They hadn't counted on Marcus. He found the discrepancy in a routine budget review. He sat on the information for 48 hours, running the numbers 3 different ways, making sure he wasn't wrong. Then he went to Elaine. "If you take this to the board, they'll deny it," he told her. "You need external forensic auditors. You need to move before they know you know." Elaine looked at the document spread across her desk. "This goes public, it damages the company. It goes unaddressed, it destroys it," Marcus said, "and destroys everything the bridge has built." She looked at him. "You understand that exposing this puts you in the middle of a very dangerous corporate fight." "I know. You could walk away." "I know that too." She held his gaze. Then she picked up her phone and called her legal team. The audit took 6 weeks. Both board members resigned under legal pressure before the story reached the press. Elaine managed the fallout with the kind of cold precision that reminded the business world why she had built Voss Dynamics in the first place. But behind closed doors, she told Marcus it was the first time in years she hadn't faced a crisis alone. At the company's annual gala, 1 year to the night after a power outage and an accidentally opened door, Elaine stood at the podium in front of every major stakeholder the company had. "12 months ago," she said, "I met a man who walked into my private suite by mistake and walked away without taking a single thing that wasn't his to take. I want to publicly acknowledge that his integrity, his honesty, and his refusal to do the easy thing when the hard thing was the right thing, those qualities have made this company better and made me better." The room applauded. Chloe, sitting in the front row in a dress she'd picked herself, reached over and grabbed Marcus's hand. Later that night, as the gala wound down and the city lights spread beneath them through Pinnacle Tower's windows, Chloe looked up at Elaine and asked the question in the direct, uncomplicated way that only children ever manage. "Are you going to be my family now?" Elaine looked at the little girl, then she looked at Marcus. Marcus had been carrying a ring in his jacket pocket for 3 weeks. He hadn't found the right moment. He looked at his daughter, the child who had inherited Clara's stubbornness and his own tendency to ask the questions everyone else was too afraid to ask, and decided that this was it. This was the moment. He got down on one knee. Elaine pressed both hands over her mouth. Chloe started jumping. If this story moved you, do me a favor, hit the like button, leave a comment telling me what part got you the most, and subscribe if you haven't yet. There are more stories like this one coming, and you don't want to miss a single one. The wedding was small, just the people who mattered. Elaine's brother stood at the front of the room beside Marcus's oldest friend. Chloe walked her father down the aisle because she'd insisted, and nobody had been brave enough to argue with her. And when the officiant asked if there was anyone present who objected to this union, Chloe raised her hand. The room went silent. "I just want to say," she announced in her most serious voice, "that I've wanted this for a really long time, so everyone better be happy about it." The room laughed. Elaine wiped tears from her face without any of her usual composure. Marcus couldn't stop smiling. He had walked into the wrong room on the worst night of the week, in the middle of a life that felt like it was slowly running out of options. And somehow, impossibly, that mistake had become the best thing that ever happened to him.